Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Green Industry Podcast. I'm Paul Jameson down here in beautiful sunny Florida, where we had some massive storms this morning, but it is getting nice out there now. Today, we're going to talk about how to keep customers for over 10 years. This is not clickbait. I started a lawn care business in 2011, and many of my first customers were my customers all the way through when I transitioned out of my lawn care business into this podcast. So I want to share what worked for me and how important it is to have what's called customer retention. So I have 5 valuable points. I may even get into a bonus point here. But before we get started, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, what country you're from, what city you're from, what state you're from, where you're from. I'd love to see where you're tuning in from. All right, let's dive right into it. Number one, why good clients are more valuable than new ones. Meaning we don't always necessarily need more clients. We just need the right one. And the reason being is that it costs a lot more money to have to continuously be marketing to new customers. It's a lot easier to keep our current customers. And so what you need to take into consideration when you're onboarding a customer is that you got to be thinking literally 10 years from now. And if you make the onboarding process for a new customer very pleasant, very professional, very simple, very easy, and then you do a good job, that homeowner, for example, they're going to keep going with your services. They're going to be like, dude, you're reliable. You show up every week. You do a good job. Everything's set on auto pay. It's a burden off their back. They can leave the garage, leave the house for today and know that the yard looks great. They come home, the yard looks great. You're the hero. And so before you can prove yourself of your mowing, edging, trimming, blowing skills, basic lawn maintenance skills, the onboarding process is of the utmost importance. So when I started in 2011, my friend Kenny taught me the right way to do this. So I just copied what he did, and what he did was right, at least for the Atlanta, Georgia market here in the United States of America. And he just taught me that you have the customer pay you one time per month, the first of the month. So if it's a $400 a month property, they just cut you a check on the first of the month, for June, and then July, $400 again, and that prepays you for July. It's prepaid. Now, I started my business back when Obama was in office, 2011. It was a long time ago. Abraham Lincoln. So it was a long time ago. And CRMs hadn't really popped off in the lawn care landscaping industry. So now I would add on to that. When you get a new customer and you're onboarding them, I would just be very clear what your billing policy is and let them know you have a CRM. The CRM we recommend is actually from the Toro company. It's called Horizon 360. And you just let them know that you're going to be sending your invoice to the CRM. You get their card on file in the CRM. And then you can just let them know, hey, for your convenience, Mrs. Smith, we're going to charge you on the first of every month. And you can go ahead and tally up how many services they want for the year, what the price is, divide that by 12 months or however many months are in your season, depending on where you're at, and you're making it easy for them. Now, when it comes to service schedule, this is a mistake that I made. I don't want you to make. And again, if you're just tuning in, I started a lawn business in 2011. Around 2020, I started slowly transitioning into doing more of this podcast. But many of my customers that I picked up in 2011 and 2012, they rode with me all the way till the end. Many of them. And when I let them know, hey, my podcast is growing and I'm going to give more of my attention and effort into serving my podcast audience, like they were sad. Like, how are we going to replace you, Paul? Like, I don't know. But we built this epic decade together. And one of the reasons why is we built trust. So the mistake that I made early on is I had a schedule. And this was a big mistake. What I mean by schedules, some people, hey, we want you to come on Fridays. Hey, we want you to come on Mondays. Hey, we want you to come. Like they had their day that they wanted you to come on. And that is very difficult in Atlanta, Georgia, because we have snow, believe it or not. We have rain a lot, and there's all kind of weather predicaments. And so a half day of weather or a whole day of weather, it puts everything behind. And so so anyway, I was finding it difficult to let people know, expect this on Thursday or expect this on whatever. Now, internally, we kept those schedules, but there's only one customer, John, that I would ever tell him that because he had a daughter with disabilities and they had a special school bus ramp type thing. And I was like, listen, he wanted us to come on Thursday morning. So he was the only one I ever made an exception for because of his daughter's situation. And we never wanted to be out mowing when the school bus came and it just, his daughter was in a wheelchair and all this stuff. So I was like, listen, I'll try my absolute best, John, to come every Thursday morning. You're the only customer I'm doing this for because your daughter and, there's a level of compassion and, it's just the right thing to do. But for all my other customers, my point is I just let them know we don't have a set schedule. Typically, we'll probably come on a Thursday or Friday, but I can't guarantee anything because of the weather. Well, how this builds trust is that now they have the expectation. Okay, Paul's going to charge me $400 on the first of the month with a card on file, and he's probably going to come on Thursday or Friday, but there's no guarantee. So we're off to a good start because I'm not over promising, but as I'm going to get to a point later on, I'm going to try to wow them and I'm going to try to over deliver. So going over my notes here so far, it's good to get a client, keep them rather than always having to continuously chase new customers. And step one in this process is to set the right expectations from day one. So clearly outline your billing policy, which I would recommend charging them on the first of every month with a card on file. Again, you can check out the CRM. We recommend Horizon 360. And I would have no pressure. I wouldn't lock them into a 2-year contract or anything. I would just say, hey, it's month by month. If you ever wanted to cancel, no big deal. Just let me know. But we'll charge your card on the first of the month unless you tell us otherwise. We have at thepauljameson.com a simple lawn care maintenance service agreement that makes it very simple, but there's no pressure on them. And we've established the service schedule, AKA there is no service schedule. Excuse me, I had to get a little sip of water there. Now I tried the service schedule thing again and utterly failed because in Atlanta, it's just there's so much going on. There's holidays sometimes on a Monday. There's holidays sometimes on a whatever the day is. July 4th is on a Thursday. The neighborhood was closed on a Thursday, and there's just so much with weather that it can throw the schedule off. One little thing, it's like dominoes. You ever play dominoes and then everything just goes? But if you onboard right and set expectations from day one, then you're all good. Point number 2, the little touches that build loyalty. So customers that have gate codes, that have pets, this is such a big deal, right? Coco's in the backyard. You forget to leave the gate locked. My friend Jonathan Potoshnik shared a story on my podcast before. His team forgot to lock a gate. Dog gets out. The dog got hit by a vehicle and got unalived. The family pet. That's rough. I mean, that's just rough. I think, don't quote me on the amount, but I think they donated $25,000 to a charity of the families, whatever. I mean, it's just a devastating situation because somebody didn't double check the gate. tug on a little bit. Have you ever been to a hotel before? The best practice if you go to a hotel, when you're leaving your hotel room, you shut the door. Sometimes it doesn't shut all the way. It might, those doors are kind of big, right? You want to make sure it's shut. If you're at a hotel, you want to grab that handle and act like you were trying to break into your own hotel room and just see, is it really locked? Well, when you have a customer with a pet, or really, there's no reason if they have a pet or not, but if they have a gate in their backyard, them gates can be finicky. Make sure that gate's shut. Those little touches is what keeps customers around for a while. Remembering gate codes, little things like that. So being consistent is absolutely huge. You make a commitment that you're going to take care of your customer every week. You have to take care of them, every week, whatever it takes to stay consistent and be reliable, and be pleasant. If they drive home from work, you can wave and smile. Just be a pleasant human being. Again, if you're just tuning in, I started a lawn care business in 2011. Many of my customers from year one and that acquired came on board year two, they stuck with me all the way over a decade. Then eventually I had to let them know that I was going to serve my podcast audience in a full-time manner. And it was sad for both of us, but how did I do this? It was the little touches over the years. Remembering to shut the gates. Now, this next one's the most important one on the list. These aren't in any order, but this is the most important one. When the customer has an issue, and 100% of my customers have always had an issue. There's sprinkler heads that break. It's not always our control. Sometimes we have things that are our fault. A lot of times you're dealing with living organisms. Grass, right, is alive. I'm not talking about this artificial nonsense. I mean, I don't want to say it nonsense. I have a lot of friends that make money putting in artificial grass. I like real grass, real turf, stuff that grows when it gets sunlight that God created and it gets oxygen that God created, and it has life inside of it. Like it's actually alive. Plants, they're alive. Not that one right there though. That one's fake. All right. For the aesthetics of the podcast, but I like the ones that are alive. All right. But when you have things that are alive, there's issues that come up. And so how fast can you respond to your current customers is going to dictate how long they are with you. See, there's some companies out there that they're so focused on rapidly growing, and Sweet Sue calls, who's been your customer for 4 years, and says, "Hey, Paul, we're really getting a lot of weeds on the right-hand side of our house. I don't know what's going on in that area, but there's just all these weeds going on over there." Or, "Hey, Paul, over the weekend, some knucklehead teenager drove his car through our front yard and there's tire marks in the front yard." Okay. Now, if you show up to your current customer now, Johnny on the spot, and whatever the issue is, you get it fixed as soon as possible, that's going to keep longevity with your current customer. Come on. This is what's important, guys. This is what's important. Most companies are so busy, so stretched thin, growing, that they don't have the margin in their business to take care of Mrs. Smith and Randy and Mrs. Sort and the current customers that you currently have. Motown Hustler says, "What's up?" Watch it on YouTube. Thanks for watching there over on the YouTube. We're talking about keeping customers for over 10 years plus. In my opinion, we've already talked about how important it is to onboard them with a simple billing plan and very clear expectations of when you're going to be coming to their property, which I wouldn't overpromise on that. I would just stick to, if you're coming weekly, that you can come weekly. And if they have to have a text beforehand, you give them a text. But in my opinion, the most important thing is that you stay ready, baby, that when a problem arises And they will arise. I can guarantee you that. The problems will arise that you get it fixed fast. That, my friend, is what keeps customers loyal to you. When you can be Johnny on the spot and you can take care of their problems fast. That leads me into my next point. If you're going to have customers for over 10 plus years, you can't serve the price that you had 10 years ago now in year 2025 or whatever year you're listening to this podcast. You have to be raising your prices on your current customers at least 3% a year. There's so many variables that are involved, but inflation over the last decade or so has been around, 3% minimum. So, but here's my point. My point isn't to raise prices. If you've been listening to my podcast for any time now, I've been championing that since episode 1. But you need to communicate ahead of time. Mrs. Smith, hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up. Next month we're going to be raising our prices slightly, just a little bit. Let her know. And just don't give them any surprises, is what I'm trying to say. Let them know ahead of time. You're not the cheapest, but you are the most reliable. They know that. They're nodding their head. Yes, Paul, you're the most reliable. Please don't tell us you're going anywhere. No. We're just, in order for me to be able to keep these great employees, for me to keep using the best equipment, to keep your yard looking as pristine as we can make it look. Our expenses are going up. To absorb those expenses, we just have to very modestly raise your price. Let them know ahead of time. And then you can send out an email. We do have a price increase letter template at our website that can help you with that. So going over my notes here. Loyal clients over time that are giving you reoccurring revenue, that's what you want to get. You don't want to have to keep always getting new customers. You want to keep the same customers as long as they're the right customer. How you do this, how you create these loyal customers over a long period of time, is you have to start off the right foot, which is the onboarding. Setting the expectations from day one is of the utmost importance. Letting them know how they're going to pay, which make it as convenient as you can for them, and be honest about your schedule. Do not overpromise your schedule. I would not get yourself in a predicament where they're expecting you to come on Friday. So story time. Had this beautiful yard, very nice yard, tennis court in the backyard, a lake in the backyard, mansion, beautiful, beautiful home. And I was young and dumb, and I promised this guy I could come on Fridays. And Pete, a customer, pain in the butt. So had a Chevy Silverado, blue Chevy Silverado. Let me get a sip of water here. It's delicious, lemon water. And I think it was a fuel pump that day. It just, driving down the road, I remember what road I was on, Lawrenceville Swanee Road. And my car just stopped. It stopped going. I pulled in this barbecue joint, and I called my buddy who's a mechanic. And thankfully, I had AAA, and I towed it over to his house. And thankfully, my buddy's a mechanic, and he helped me fix it. But in the meantime, I texted my customer who's expecting me to come that day, and I just said, "Hey, truck broke down. I'll be there first thing tomorrow morning." And he texted me back, "Hey, we're going to find somebody else. Thank you for your service over these years." And he fired me on the spot. And I was like, what in the world? What in the world? That was weird, honestly. I was like, how in the world? Like, his yard looked great too. I mean, we get all kind of compliments. So anyway, that was a little strange. But that was the beginning of the end for me of having this schedule where they would expect me at a certain date and time. because then when they didn't show up at that certain date or time, even if I had a very valid, I was literally on my friend's front porch when I got the text because I was shocked. I was like, what in the world? Like no grace whatsoever that I've been reliable for years. And then one time my truck broke down and I'm in the process of getting it fixed. And I say I'm going to come the next morning and the guy fired me. Very strange. But if I would have set the expectations up front that we don't commit to the exact minute we're going to be on your property, then I could have probably gotten away with it because I would have just probably got my truck. I did get my truck fixed that day. I could have probably actually just went out in the afternoon, just did his yard. He would have never even had to know about it. So anyway, I don't know if I'm making sense or not about setting expectations. Whatever your expectations are, set them, but it's better to come in low with lower expectations and then make those wow moments for your customer where you're going beyond their satisfaction. You're wowing them with your excellent customer service. That's the goal. Man, I have a bunch of notes here. Let me see if I'm covering everything. All right, well, we'll land the plane here. And again, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're live on LinkedIn. Let me know in the comments where you are watching from and get you a shout out. But as we land the plane here, I want to emphasize being consistent. So one of my customers, Dr. Kim, one of my very first customers, beautiful home, $1 million plus home, golf course in the backyard, literally one of my first customers. And he was all the way up until my last customer until I let him know that I was moving on to serve my podcast audience. I wasn't going to be able to take care of his yard anymore, but he was with me the whole entire time. I was consistent. Never missed a maintenance in 10 years. Never missed a maintenance. There were seasons where we were going weekly, and then there were seasons when his family actually was living in a different country, and they wanted just biweekly service because nobody was living in the house, and they just wanted to do kind of the bare minimum to keep the neighbors happy, but they were literally on the other side of the world for a while. Now they're back in the United States of America. Very, very wealthy fellow. You're wondering, what's he doing in another country? He's rich. That's what he's doing. Rich people do stuff like that. But consistent. You show up when you say you're going to show up. If you're committed to weekly service, you're there every week. If you're committed to biweekly service, you're there biweekly. You do what you say you're going to do. You're pleasant to work with. You give them wow moments where you go above and beyond. And most important thing, I guess there's two most important things. Onboarding, I've already kind of emphasized that. You want to onboard with clarity. The most important thing you can do to keep customers long-term is when a problem arises. I guarantee you problems will arise because you're dealing with things that are living. Grass and plants are living organisms. But when the problem arises, you communicate quickly and you get it fixed quickly. The customer texts and says, hey, we have a sprinkler that looks like a geyser just shooting straight up in the air. You text back and, say, hey, on the way. I'm on the way. Randy, I'm on my way. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And you go in the garage and you turn the water off or whatever you got to do with the sprinkler system. And then it's usually a pretty easy, just swap out the sprinkler head or whatever you got to do. Whatever the problem is. That seems to be a pretty popular problem is sprinkler heads. Oh, we got my friend, Connor, live from the People's Republic of New Jersey. I worked on a property that I have worked on for 20 years today. How about that? This podcast is for Connor. 6 years as my own company. Let's go. Connor's a good guy. Friend of the program. Excellence in broadcasting. We're trying. We're trying for you, Connor, from beautiful sunny South Florida. The only thing missing is Open Line Friday. Thanks for tuning in. 20 years. Same property. Here's my closing point. If you're a homeowner and somebody's doing a good job, then it's so much easier for them just to keep you. It's so much easier. They don't have to do anything. You got their card on file, you show up, you're pretty much just guaranteed the work. You're guaranteed the work. It's a hassle for them to have to go and re-onboard with Pookie or whoever they hire. Rick's Mowing. I played golf 2 days ago with a guy named Rick. It's like, you on the first tee, you say what your name is. I was like, hey, I'm Paul. He's like, hey, I'm Rick. I was thinking, Rick's Mowing. I talk about you on my podcast all the time, Rick. But he's a good guy. We had a lot of fun golfing. But just know that if you can be consistent and make a pleasant experience for your customer, they'd rather just keep you just selfishly because it's so easy for them just to keep you rather than go through the hassle of having to find someone else. Connor says, good old Sweet Sue. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Sweet Sue. Now when I have these nicknames for customers, like I really had these kind of customers, like Mrs. Stewart, Mrs. Smith, Randy. I use like fictitious names, but in my mind, I'm like thinking like of actual people. Old Sweet Sue. You guys have any names of funny customers? I've had some, I've had some dogs, I remember the dogs. Fluffy. This big guy played for the New England Patriots. Big guy, linebacker, good guy too. I mean, good player. He was on that Patriots team that went undefeated. And he's got this big guy. That's what I'm trying to say. He's got this little white dog, Fluffy, little petite dog. Coco. I mean, I love the dogs. All right. Well, hey, this episode's coming to an end. I want to remind you, if you're going to our trade show coming up October 21st through 24th in Louisville, Kentucky, called Equip Expo, May is the final month where you can get your tickets for only $12.50. Right now, they got spring savings special where tickets are $25, but if you use the promo code Paul, your ticket will go down to $12.50 until May 31st. Then when the calendar flips over to June 1st, which is a Sunday, June 1st, 2025, the tickets are going to go up. And they're going to keep going up all the way to $120 this year for tickets. So don't be that guy paying $120 at the door. Be the guy or gal who gets your tickets now for $12.50 with the coupon code Paul and the spring savings special. You just kind of double dip on that. Motown Hustler on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Connor, New Jersey, friend of the program. Thanks for tuning in up there in New Jersey. Lots of New Jersey folks are moving down here to Florida. I'll tell you what. Met this girl at the gym, Amy. She's from New Jersey. My neighbors are from New Jersey. Mike and Susie. There you go. Another Sue. Old Susie from New Jersey. They're from originally from New Jersey. They moved down here. I must like New Jersey because they're moving back. A lot of people are actually moving out of Florida now. It's getting so expensive. Supply and demand, right? Florida, I think, used to be the secret. And all these people started coming over from California and New York and New Jersey, and then kind of got there's not that many houses down here because we got the Gulf of America on one side, we got the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. We have a lot of Florida you can't live because of the alligators and the snakes. It's scary. They're called the Everglades. So if you're looking on a map of Florida, you're like, oh, Florida's pretty big. But in all reality, like the southern part of it, where the Everglades are, it's unlivable because of all the wildlife. And then the other parts is just small. I mean, it's just not the biggest area. So right now it's crazy because all these people moved here. They keep moving in every day too. I see the U-Hauls and the riders and all those companies that move you in the moving truck things. I forget the names of them off the top of my head, but they're all coming down here. I like it down here in Florida, though. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I appreciate you listening to this episode of the Green Industry Podcast. Mr. Producer is giving me those signals that I'm getting stale. That means you need to end the episode. I just have so much fun hanging out with you guys. I just want to keep talking. Mr. Producer gives me these signals that we're done. So I picking up what you're putting down, Mr. Producer. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, if you want to register for the Equip Expo, the link is into today's show notes. It should be down there. And you have to use the promo code Paul to get that 50% off. It won't automatically take half off. There's a little spot where you insert the promo code and then it'll take the price down 50% off of that. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope to catch you on the next episode.